Welcome back to Tokyo State of Mind, a podcast that brings you the best stories and inspiration from people living in Japan. As we know, some stories, just like films, they have sequels, which is definitely the case today. Today on Tokyo State of Mind, and you see we are in a different studio. I am happy to see again my dear friend, Mike Mocarski, who is not just my friend, but also like a photographer from Poland based in Tokyo, who is having his second exhibition right here in the center of Tokyo today. You will see his beautiful works later. And he's going to talk about his wonderful journey as an artist, about how he kept his passion during all this time, and just like share with you a wonderful stories about opening this exhibition. So here we are having, hi Mike, mic check.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Hamida. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's been like 2 years already, right?
Yes, 2 years since the last podcast. Yeah, and 1 year since my last exhibition.
Exactly. I mean, this is like so special. I mean, it's the first time for Tokyo State of Mind to do this kind of podcast outside of our studio.
Thank you so much for coming here. Actually, I was the one who invited you, so thanks you for coming to my exhibition.
Sure, yeah, we have a big group of helpers, so I'm glad we're all here. So the first question that I have to you about your work is, it's very interesting to me. So for this 2 years, it's been pandemic and a lot of things like that people have to go through transitions, and it's interesting for me to see how when the last time we were talking to you, you were just starting out as a photographer, and now you're having your own exhibition. It's like interesting for me to hear about. Tell me more. How did you manage to keep all your passion till today?
Thank you so much. To keep all my passion, I think that you keep passion by keep doing all the time what you want to do. What is if you don't want to keep doing it, it's not real passion, right? So for me, because I continue doing photo shoots even despite the coronavirus pandemic, and anytime, whether it's raining or whether it's cold or whether it's hot, I kept doing it. I felt like I wanted to keep doing it more and more after every photo shoot. That's the time when I feel the strongest passion for photography. After I'm done, but I keep wanting more. On the other hand, if you stop at one moment, especially with creative work, you stumble upon creative block. So you start feeling that maybe you're not good enough, your idea is not good enough. You might stumble upon something that you want to create something very big, but you don't feel good enough about it, that your idea is well pronounced enough. So you get stumble upon a creative block. But for me, it's not really a problem because I just keep doing what I want. If I feel like I don't have enough courage to do another idea, I don't know, book a venue or contact model first and then figure out details later. So yeah, I think that's basically about it. It's just conquer your fear, keep doing what you love, and you'll never stop. That's how it works for me.
Yeah, that's really great to hear, because like I know what it's like to actually be stuck. It's like, but I think sometimes it's not just even about like, I don't know how about you, but it's not about the blog that much, but more about like you feel like you're creatively burned out or something. So my next question will be like, I want to more dig into your like artistic mind and see like through all this time, like keeping up with your work, did you find any like anything like consistent about it? Like, did you find any like integral environment that is very, you know, productive for you? Because, you know, people think like art, well, art is not just art, right? You have to be also smart about it. Like there has to be some things where you basically like self-motivate yourself, or you find certain environments or certain tools that are crucial for you being productive in creative ways. And what was it like for you?
Actually, for me, I kind of want to reverse what you're talking about because I find, especially nowadays with contemporary art, artists are very often expected to be doing the same thing. You see, with the most popular modern artists like Kusama Yayoi, or I brought artists from other countries too, that they're always expected to do their famous thing. The same for music bands. Everybody's expecting the most famous tune. For me, whenever I feel like I'm doing too much of one thing, I try to shift to another thing. So, for instance, after the last exhibition, a lot of people told me that my photographs look like paintings, and well, that's true. I printed one of them on canvas, so that was pretty clear. So this time I tried to shift it. I tried to flip it out and create more photographic images. At the same time, last time it was all very romantic and very dreamy, and this time I tried to input also some darker work. So whenever I feel like my work is getting defined by something, whenever I find a definition that there is something that defines it, I try to, you know, imagine like you're peeling it off, and you try. So I try to peel it off one by one in order to get to the core of who I am as the artist. So I keep discovering these new layers of myself one by one. I don't think I'll ever be done because I guess we're too complicated
We are,
for
yeah.
that. Yes. But that's one of the things that art helped me to realize about myself, how much complicated I am, and that I will keep discovering myself just step by step.
So during these exhibitions, like there's so many people visiting you. Some of these people are photographers, and some of these people are just like, you know, passerbys who are just, oh, there's a gallery, like let me see it. I'm sure that were there any instances where you got, I mean, like behind every like gallery and work, there's always like some kind of interesting story. Was there any moment during your exhibitions where you got a certain like feedback that like really changed the way you think, or like any other stories that were really eye-opening for you?
Um, it's it's never just one story. It's more like an overall impression of people what are telling to me. If just one person tells me what they think about the art, what they think about certain piece of art, for example, somebody would tell me that, oh, this photo look very romantic. I would take it as their opinion. If more people tells me about it, then I start figuring out, yes, that's already a feedback about someone. My favorite part, though, is when people create their own interpretations that I didn't think about it yet, but actually are not very wrong. So for instance, there was a piece of art, a photograph last during my first exhibition, when somebody said about the character that I created for the photograph that she looks like she's in love, and you know, at this moment, I didn't plan her to be in love in that photo, but she does look like she's in love, and that interpretation is not wrong. And you know, that person even though it wasn't created with this intention, but that person made me also understand what I created better. So that's very interesting. You know, the way you look. We always think that we tend to think that artists put message in every art and they understand everything, they have it very well planned, but actually no, we discover more about our art while we're creating it, and after, and maybe years after we did something, years after we took that photo or painted that painting, we might find out something new always about it.
Yeah, and this time, like your exhibition's name is exactly named, like just as you said, it's about things that are deep inside your mind.
Yes.
Just so I'm wondering, for this theme, was it something that was intentional, or is just you just came up with it after like your old work was lined up and you're like, hey, actually, like through doing the process, like after all the processing, like all the after like post production and sitting with that, you discovered that I kind of found something like found out something about myself through that. How did it happen? How did the naming happen?
Yeah, I cannot really tell you the whole process, but uh, in my case, it was that after my last exhibition, um, I I started following a lot of artists. I started reading through, the whole history of human art. I got very interested in that because, before the last exhibition, I always thought of myself more as a service photographer rather than fine art photographer. And the last exhibition really changed that. So I was like, yeah, how do other artists think, right? I was thinking about it a lot. Um, and it always seemed like the artists have prepared a message in their work. And I was always wondering, how do they, figure out what they want to create about, and how do they put themselves in this art? How to balance all of this? How to, for example, if you want to have a message in your art, how not to make it too obvious. Um, and I was always thinking, what's my message and what's my special thing in my art? What is it about me? Um, and here it goes to the partly to the thing you said about that. I looked through my work in the past, and then I realized that, hey, um, I don't have to formulate this message of my art. It doesn't have to be spoken. I don't have to say it. It's always there because what I create, there's always a part of me in that. And instead of trying to figure out how to create feelings or how to make people interpret my work, just do the work, and you will be always there. Your message will always be there because your message is in your heart, is in your mind, deep inside your mind, and it goes on your art. It shows up on your art. So yeah, that's how it went. So when that was the realization that I basically based all of my work for this exhibition. Some of those are new works that are made just for this exhibition, but a lot of those, most actually of works here are old works, like from the past 2 or 3 years, that I feel that explain some feelings or some thoughts I have that are very deep inside and that cannot be explained with words, but can be explained with art. So I chose specifically those pieces and I put around here.
Cool. I remember last time when we were talking about your journey, like, and how living in Japan, like, affects your art and like inspires your art. You were mentioning that it was mostly architecture, and the way that Tokyo is like very, very different. You go to one place and like it's super modern, and you go to the other place, it's quirky. The next place is like super traditional. Do you think that has changed, like the way how Japan influences your work? Because like you're a Polish photographer based in Japan, speaking like many, many languages, having friends all over the world, but like how exactly, like living in Japan exactly, do you think influences your work?
Oh yeah, definitely. Two of my works in this exhibition are actually parts of a story of so-called Haikara-san. So Haikara-san, just making very, very, very briefly, it's a story about a girl in Taisho period, so about 100 years ago, about women who would try to get themselves educated in a very conservative society, and if they go to school, they would wear hakama, which is like pants that added for kimono. They make it using kimono very much more comfortable. So some of them were able, for example, to ride bikes.
Yeah, or do some like gymnastics.
Yeah, do gymnastics and stuff like that. So yeah, like Aikido, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're talking to expert. And they would also work for that. So my Haikara-san is a present day character that's delivering food through some services around Tokyo and Shibuya, but still wearing hakama. And I felt that this story inspired me mostly because of the like strength of the character, of pursuing who she really is and not caring what other people are thinking about her. So if at that time, 100 years ago, a girl wearing hakama would be seen as something very new, very, new fashion. Nowadays, it would, like somebody wearing hakama on bike, it would probably look crazy and delivering food, especially delivering food, right?
Yeah.
But that character is strong enough not to worry about it, not to care about it, and keep pursuing her dreams. And for me, I just want to be like that. So this story, just going back to your question, it's a Japanese story of a Japanese of actual people. That's firstly inspired some novels and movies, and probably anime too. And then that inspired me too.
Oh, is there anime? I want
Yeah,
to see it
there's
now.
an anime. It's aimed at teenage girls, so I didn't finish it actually. But the first part that's most important for me, I did watch it.
Interesting. I didn't know about this
I'll
character.
send you the link.
Yeah, I would like to check out. Yeah, for sure. And my next question will be like, so with with this it will be a little bit like more of a practical question that I think like some of the people who are willing to pursue art in Tokyo might be interested in. Tell me more about like your support. Like, how do you think like you were able to carry out those two exhibitions, and like what was like the biggest safety net for you all these years?
The biggest safety net.
Yeah.
So firstly, I would like to thank everybody from Shibuya-san. Thank you so much. Yes, at first, when I was starting, I was still a student and I was a scholarship student. So I was able to to have enough time to pursue to create and study at the same time. It became much harder when I joined the company. Yeah. So I have 2 days a week off. Usually, sometimes yes, sometimes not. But yeah, usually I have to wait 2 days a week off. And it's getting much more difficult because now you have to match those days with models days and so on. So most of my work that happened before I started working, before I joined the Japanese company. I think it was a little bit more free. But also at the same time, after I joined the company, I became much more financially free, what allowed me to do more difficult and expensive photo shoots. Just the one I mentioned right now, Haikara-san, it did require me to, to rent outfits, to buy some props, also to get better equipment. So yeah, on the one hand, when I was being a scholarship student allowed me, it was a safety net for me in the sense that I had a lot of free time. But on the other hand, I couldn't invest much more into creating more, expressing what I really want to. On the other hand, now when I'm a company worker, I don't have as much time to create, but I am able to create much better things, and I'm able also to organize this kind of exhibitions. It's not for free, so I was able to do it thanks to that.
Now with like having only 2 days off, you have to use your time more like in a quality way, right?
Very much, oh, very much. Trust me, it's more important than planning my work day. It's more important to plan my weekend so I don't lose time. Yeah.
I think that's something that like a lot of probably artistic people have to essentially learn being in Japan, is to be like in a way more like Japanese people, to be able to create the calendar and be able to like just stiff everything around it, like so you are more organized and with your work, especially like if you're working in a Japanese company and you have limited time, or you have like overtime, it's becoming more of an art itself, I believe.
Oh yes, definitely, that's true. Another problem is a lot of creatives, especially from other countries, they work from Monday to Friday. I work also on weekends, so it's very hard for me to collab with other creatives. And since I'm portrait photographers, the only models I can work with are models who are free on weekdays. So that's very tricky.
I see. So thank you, Mike. My last question for this podcast, like for this episode, will be, this is something that we try to ask all our guests. I don't think I asked about it before, but this time, yeah, it's your time to shine. So what is your Tokyo state of mind?
What is my Tokyo state of
Yes.
mind? My Tokyo state of mind is I think it's exactly what we just talked right now. Get out of work and start doing your thing just right after that. Just stay busy. Keep moving. It's like on a bicycle. If you don't keep moving, you'll fall down. Just keep moving. That's what I would say.
Very
That
wise.
doesn't sound good.
Very practical.
Very practical, I think so.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation, learning more about your progress and just being mainly proud of your work and everything you were able to achieve. And it's just like so inspiring for everyone, including the Tokyo State of Mind team, to know that you keep on doing your thing, just like that girl you mentioned.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, thank you so much for sharing your story. And
first of all, congratulations. Very nice pictures.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful space. The only thing I wanted to ask you about, if you don't mind, more philosophical question, because you, in the description of the exhibition, you mentioned setting the models in an unfamiliar space and time. And well, from my point of view, like there are two pictures that I can feel this unfamiliarity of a model with, let's say, space and time. So yeah, that's something I would like to hear from you more about. In what terms the models and the pictures, they are set in an unfamiliar space and time. Like, I have two models here in a Sakura entourage and the one wearing yukata. How is it unfamiliar setting of space and time? And this is also about the others.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it's mostly about creating a character. By setting somebody in unfamiliar space and time, it's not only about moving them into another dimension or anything like that. It's more about trying to separate the model from who they really are, and putting them into a character and creating a character, like shifting them into a character that would limit who the model is. So the thing is, in every portrait piece of art is a collaboration between model and photographer. And since this exhibition is what's about inside my mind, deep inside my mind, I chose only the works that represent my mind. So I was trying to limit as much as possible model's input and extend as much as possible my input into the work. So when you have most of the portrait or fashion photography, the model have a lot of freedom with posing and so on. However, here everything was very extremely directed. Everything from the outfit, the poses, the backgrounds was extremely very strictly directed. So that's what I meant by saying unfamiliar place and time. So to try to create a character very different from the actual model, very different from how they see themselves. So for instance, if the model have an idea for something, I would just say stop for a while and direct her in he or her in another direction. So that's basically what I meant here. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a favorite piece of work?
Among these ones? Well, you might guess from the positions here. I think this one would be my personal favorite, but it's strictly aesthetically. I really like it, but about the meaning wise, I think they all have their own specific meaning. So yeah.
I was asking more in this emotional.
Actually, no, but emotionally, I was especially attached to the Haikara-san project, maybe because I worked extremely hard for it. I think it required the most preparations. It took very much time to cast the model I wanted, and to find model who would also want to collab with me on this one. From choosing outfits to finding the place. Actually, in this work, not all of the Haikara photos are here, but we even rented a bike for her, so we could take some photos on the bike. So I'm very emotionally attached to those photos because they took so much, work to do. If you would ask also which photo describes the idea of deep inside my mind the most, I think the photo from the poster. So the reflection, the symmetrical reflection, because it's basically me looking at myself. So I think that's very obvious, I know, a little bit cheesy, but I like it.
we encourage all Tokyo State of Mind listeners who are by some chance in Tokyo to stop by Shibuya and see this amazing exhibition that is gonna last all the way till September 12th at Shibuya SACS, SACS. It's a very cool venue. You're gonna check it out. Mike is gonna be here, so whenever you have a chance, please stop by, and we hope to see more future exhibitions by Mike. We're gonna put his Instagram and all the
Please follow
content.
me.
Yes, we're gonna put all of that under the YouTube link, so you can always like check out what's going on and maybe ask Mike some questions if you are also an artist to collaborate. He's always like ready to collaborate with other people. So thank you so much for listening, and we're gonna see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.